Today, we will learn about the first type of loop in Python, the while loop. Loops in Python repeat a block of code until a particular condition is satisfied. While loops continue a loop until a condition is met, and stop only when the condition is satisfied or a break statement occurs. This means that you don't know how many iterations would be needed for a while loop to finish. While loops, and loops in general, are used extremely often in many kinds of projects in Python, especially when you receive an unknown input and want the same or similar output. Our first example will be a simple while loop. Just so we know where the outputs of one example end and the next begins, I'll start with print, in parentheses and in quotations, example A. Now we need to declare our variable, so we will write a equals 0. Now we can start our while loop, so write while, the function to start the while loop, then a is less than 5, which is our condition, then colon. Then on the next line, make sure that it is indented, which means that the indented line is part of a block of code, starting from the start of the while loop, which is on line 3. All subsequent lines that are a part of the while loop are also indented. On this line, write print A, so we can see each iteration of the while loop. Then write a plus equals 1, which means that a will be added by 1, and that added value is the new value a. Now once we run it, you will see 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, we will learn about the break function. We should also write print, parentheses in quotations, example B. We should also declare variable B, so B equals 0. Now we will state our while function, while B is less than 10, colon. Track each iteration with print B. Now we will use an if statement, which means that if the condition is met, this block runs. This also means that the if statement is a block of code just like a while loop. So we will write if b equals 6, then colon, because it is also creating a block of code, then enter. The next line will be double indented because of both the while loop and the if statement. In this double indented line, write our break statement, which is break, which means that the block is broken or stopped at this point when the conditions are met. Then, outside of the if statement, we'll write b plus equals 1. Now, once it is run, you will see numbers 0 to 6, but not until 10, like it says in the conditions of the while loop. This is because the break function ran when b equaled 6, causing the loop to break and stop. Now, we will do example 3, which will show an example of the continue function. Firstly, let's write print, in parentheses and in quotations, example C. Now declare our variable, C equals 0. State our while loop, so while C is less than 6, colon. Then write C plus equals 1. Now, we need to say an if statement. So, if C equals 3, colon. Then, in our double indent line, the continue statement, so continue. which means that the following lines in the block will be passed and the next iteration will be started. Lastly, write print C to track our iterations. Now when we run the code, you will see numbers 1 through 6 with the exception of 3. This is because when the while loop got to C equals 3, the if statement was activated, causing the continue statement to also be activated, which means that print C was passed, moving on to the next iteration, which caused 3 to be missing from the outputs. Now, we will do example D. So, let's start with print, in parentheses, in quotations, example D. Then let's state our variable. So D equals 0. Now let's state our while loop. While D is less than 4, colon, then D plus equals 1, and print D. So it is essentially a standard while loop, like from example A. Now, we will use the else function. So, we will write non-indented else colon. Then, with one indent under the else, because it also creates a block of code, just like with a while loop or the if statement, we will write print, in parentheses and in quotations marks, D is greater than 4. Now, let's run the code. And you will see numbers 1 through 4, and D is greater than 4. This is because once D became greater than 4, the condition for the while loop no longer applied, which means that it moved to the else statement, which then caused it to print D is greater than 4. So, we now know how to use while loops, the break statement, and the continue statement, as well as the else function within while loops in Python. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.